Over the past 100 years, women all over the world have been fighting for gender equality.
I think I became an activist when I was quite young. And my mother was one of those people that inspired me to achieve quite a lot, because she would tell me, study and study every book that is there in the world.
Some parents don't know the importance, especially those ones in rural areas. We need to tell them that education is key in transforming the children's life, and they should all go to school, because they won't be left out in a competition for good jobs and all that.
With the introduction of UPE, we can say that now we are attaining gender parity at enrollment. But as you move along the education ladder, we are seeing a lot of high dropout rates amongst girls.
The other angle to it is we are talking about water sources. Most of these kids get defiled on the way to the water points. Why don't councillors prioritize the issue of water within that little budget? Ensure that water is accessible.
But I always believe that education is so crucial in opening a girl's or a woman's opportunity.
It takes a lot of hard work and dedication to get to a position of leadership and power. To come as no surprise as to the many hardships they've had to face on their way to success and glory.
As a little girl, when I started school, to begin with, my mom didn't have money to send me to school. So my brothers pledged that they will actually pay for my school fees and I should study.
We studied under the mango trees. When we finally got a class, it was a grass-thatched class, and then the floor was just dusty. But anyway, we studied and it was good.
So school was very exciting, but we had to walk barefoot 4 miles, not kilometers, miles. So I remember always running.
My school times, I was quite stubborn in terms of asserting myself and knowing what I want and providing leadership, not in terms of appointment, but where you become a leader and you see students following you.
It has always been a difficult task convincing parents, especially the fathers, as to why their girls should be seen on an equal footing with their sons.
I think substantively, people know you can take a girl to school and she will succeed just as well as your boy child. But what happens now is a bargain about resources. Who do we prioritize in this challenge if we don't have the resources?
You appreciate that some societies still feel, for instance, that a girl child shouldn't go to school, should be nurtured properly for marriage.
There's been a massive nationwide campaign from various stakeholders a lot of people would agree that there's still a lot to be done at both local and national level.
It is unfortunate that the maternal mortality rate in this country is still high. It stands at 438 per 1,000 live births. Now, we need to keep our women alive, and we need to scale up family planning so that every woman who needs family planning is able to access it.
When we go into places where we don't have this kind of organizing, I think the community development officers will play a fundamental role of mentoring young children.
Then you will move. So by implication, I'm simply saying train them on gender, create awareness, and tell them there is no meaningful development unless the woman and the girl child develops along with the rest of the community.
It is estimated that 90% of working women in all industries have faced sexual harassment by their male counterparts.
When they are there, you find that the men they are with in this space, they are not looking at them as leaders, as counterparts. I will give you an example. We were interviewing one of the councillors in one of the districts, and she was putting on a dress, and I think she forgot to button one of her buttons. And the gentleman got up and said, "Is it in order for the member of the council to start showing us her body parts?" She froze. She sat down and she says for months she could not say anything.
But the perception that you are a woman, you are uneducated, when you speak and the men take advantage of that, when they begin to smell the lack of confidence, then they shout you down.
Such does not stop only with women in the public service. A lot of times, it is job-seeking women who get caught in the nasty trap.
But even if you give in yourself, they may not give you. So it's quite difficult. But if you know you have a purpose, you have a passion, you have God, then you will make it.
Any attempts by women to do more than just be homekeepers and childbearers is met with scorn and discomfort by the society and the community around that woman. It is going to take more than laws in parliament and women attaining higher learning to change the mindsets of our community that is not used to seeing a woman in that kind of spectrum.
It is all about sensitizing the men to learn how to support the women and having empathy, thinking of women as partners and not subordinates or inferior people.
We complement each other's role. You can't do both roles and do it effectively. You can't be a father and a mother.
When we are there to serve the public and to serve the home, it is very, very possible for a woman to marry and have husband and children and be able to be successful in public life.
Women largely dominate the agricultural sector in Uganda, but not enough has been done to ensure the continued participation of women in this sector or through the development of the proper infrastructures.
We started us saying when you have a compound at the back, you can rear chicken. Then they started asking, where is the capital? So Nigina came in to answer where is the capital.
The day we prioritize agriculture, from which over 90% of ordinary Ugandans eke out a living, we will have got incomes into some of those homes.
Women's empowerment began to take its current form in the late 80s, when the government pledged to eliminate all forms of discrimination against women.
Well, we still live in a very, very patriarchal society. Despite many of the pronouncements you hear, a lot of people are really male chauvinists, and many of them don't want us to be where we are because they think these are their jobs.
We who are organized, we need to start taking up mentorship. So the women's movement in Uganda, if we just organized ourselves and we provided a little space for mentoring, I think Forward is already doing that, but let it be cultured in every women's organizations.
Government's failure to educate the general population about the mandate of affirmative action policies has led to an equal footing of the female leaders that have taken up the scheme, and also reinforces the predominant mindsets of women as ineffective leaders.
But I want to say that from my position, I've seen that many of the women continue to champion the causes of equity, the causes of the social services, causes of better healthcare, better education, and so on. So it depends, I think, on the individual. But and I think we're doing our best.
Dream bigger. The bigger your dreams, the bigger your achievements, the bigger your success.
I would advise, of course, people to continue embracing the affirmative action and to know what it is, to read Article 33 of the Constitution, to know the women's rights, and then to articulate those obstacles.
And I believe the women leaders should be able to facilitate that process. So for me, if I have any dream for women leaders, is to facilitate the empowerment of other women that are not yet in leadership.